Our failure to segregate morons who are increasing and multiplying demonstrates our foolhardy and extravagant sentimentalism. Philanthropists encourage the healthier and more normal sections of the world to shoulder the burden of unthinking and indiscriminate fatuity of others, which brings with it, as I think the reader must agree, a dead weight of human waste. Instead of decreasing and aiming to eliminate the stocks that are most detrimental to the future of the race of the world, it tends to render them to a menacing degree dominant. We are paying for and even submitting to the dictates of an ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all. It's pretty powerful stuff, huh? Kind of takes you back a little, makes you feel a little bit queasy in the stomach. For those of you who are wondering what it was I was just reading, it was not a selected work out of Mein Kampf, although this probably influenced it to a degree. No, my friends, this was the writings of one Margaret Sanger, the famed founder of Planned Parenthood and eugenicist extraordinaire. Most of you are probably not familiar with the woman because she's been conveniently written out of most history books. She's usually given a passing reference as the founder of the organization, but her viewpoints on things such as inferiority or superiority among the races, among the mentally capable versus the indigent, and such is kind of glossed over. But if you dig around, you can find it, and one place that you can find it is in the link that I have in the description. There's a whole bunch of juicy quotes out of this woman, and also a little bit of a clue into where the origins of what we now know as birth control and abortion came from. It's downright disgusting that people can look at Planned Parenthood and see an organization that is, by any standard, defensible. Now, whether somebody decides that they want to practice some form of discipline or some form of contraception, that's something that I've always seen as sort of a personal choice that's taken among couples. I mean, I would personally dissuade people from not procreating at all just because I think that there is an inherent goodness to life, and I think that we should encourage life rather than discourage it. But, again, this is something that you can't really require out of people, but it's something that you can definitely recommend, and I, for one, would definitely recommend it. But nonetheless, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Planned Parenthood is sort of the centerpiece of the Obama administration and their supposed health care plan. Imagine, if you will, a fully centralized bureaucracy handling most of the health care in the country. You're still going to have the big corporations. They're mostly going to be tied in with the government, but they're still going to be there. I mean, let's face it, they run the Congress completely. They're not going away. Now, what does this lead to? We already have a system under the current insurance companies and the HMOs where people basically go to the doctor for free. They run up the deficit in the healthcare budget to the point where we can't cover what we're spending. And the result of this is eventually that you have to start rationing out care because you can't afford to pay the care providers. And so what we do is we determine who gets the healthcare ration to. Now, who is the biggest target of this new healthcare plan? Who is the group of people that are going to be most affected by it? The answer is senior citizens. They are going to be the ones losing their health care coverage. Because let's face it, who wants to support the health of a person who's probably going to pass on in 5 or 6 years is going to be a huge health cost when you have limited funds and you need to secure more tax dollars? It's much more prudent to treat younger and healthier people in order to keep the taxes flowing in to the Treasury. You see, this is the problem with centralized systems in general. They tend to lead towards this sort of eugenicist mindset, even if only subtly. I mean, most neolibs are not really aware that they're supporting this. If they had any iota of an idea that they were remotely similar ideologically to the National Socialist Party of Germany, they would probably have an instant awakening. But nonetheless, it's kind of softened a little bit with this rhetoric of we're going to take care of everybody. The truth is you cannot take care of everybody. I mean, the more we tend to involve government into this stuff, the less people we're able to actually take care of. Now, me, myself, I'm in pretty good health. I don't need to go to the doctor every day. I do have an HMO provider. I have an individual payer plan under Aetna, and I have no interest in getting a government-covered plan. I go to the doctor maybe twice a year, go to the dentist twice a year, and I usually go the second time a year to the doctor because I need allergy medications. I have a very light case of asthma that's genetic, and I need to get prescriptions occasionally in order to deal with it. Usually it's a seasonal thing. But nonetheless, I don't need to go every day, so I'm not a big cost. So there's not much of a problem for me right now. But when I'm 70 years old, if the asthma starts to act up, or if I somehow manage to inherit my father's line of really shitty livers, which comes from having a mostly Irish background and having a bunch of drunks basically in my background, and having genetic predispositions to other things such as high blood pressure, am I going to be somebody who's going to be able to get health care under this system? The answer is no. And I'm particularly worried about my parents because they're getting up there. They're both over 60, and God knows what's going to happen if this thing gets passed. So I urge anyone of good conscience, even if you're pro-choice, even if you love abortion, even if you need abortion to feel good about yourself as a person, even if you're that twisted about it, which very few people actually are. That's a caricature that I've actually never bought into. Think about the weak among us, those that actually need this health care versus the young, the capable, the ones that will probably benefit the most from this stupid system that Obama has come up with. It's kind of ironic that Obama has all these youth brigades because most of his healthcare ideas tend to cater to that group. He got a good load of support from the elderly too, which was, I guess, the actual ironic part because they're probably going to get screwed the most by this. But nonetheless, I'm basically ranting here, but I'm ranting about something that I think needs attention. I'm going to leave, once again, I'm leaving a link here to all these quotes by Margaret Sanger, and I want you to think about two things. Barack Obama wants to get people free abortions, probably at the behest of Planned Parenthood. And we've got Margaret Sanger who says we need to purify the planet and get all of the inferior people out of it. Think about it. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.